It was supposed to be just another ordinary evening. A charity gala in Rome, lights flashing, cameras everywhere, and dozens of celebrities walking the red carpet. Can Yaman entered the hall with the usual confidence that made him the star of every event. His fans screamed his name, photographers didn't stop clicking, but then, something unexpected happened. His eyes froze on a simple dress. A dress that didn't belong to him, but carried a piece of his soul. It was the same color, the same cut, the same flowing fabric from that night. He stopped breathing for a second. His manager whispered, "Can, keep moving, the cameras are waiting." But he couldn't. Because in that instant, the flashbacks hit him harder than the spotlights. The laughter, the whispers, the way she leaned in closer than she should have. Demet Özdemir. That night wasn't just a memory, it was a wound that never healed. The dress was identical to what she wore at the private dinner after their big TV premiere. A dinner that turned into something more intimate, more real than either of them had planned. They laughed like children, shared secrets like teenagers, and when the music played, they danced as if the world had disappeared. That dress became the silent witness of a night filled with promises they were too afraid to make out loud. Standing there in the gala, Ken clenched his fists, trying not to let anyone notice the storm inside him. His heart raced. He knew the cameras would capture every micro-expression, and the last thing he wanted was to expose himself. But his eyes betrayed him. For a brief second, tears threatened to fall. The dress had unlocked a door he tried to keep sealed shut for years. Later that evening, away from the flashing lights, a journalist asked him casually, "Can, you looked a little shaken on the red carpet. Was it the pressure, or did something surprise you?" He took a deep breath. And for the first time, he didn't hide behind a smile. He whispered words that shocked everyone who was listening, "I saw the dress, and I remembered that night." Some memories never leave you. The confession spread like wildfire. Fans flooded social media with theories. What night? What dress? Was it Demet? Was it a hidden romance that they never admitted? The mystery electrified everyone. And Can's silence afterward only made it worse. He refused to deny it, but he also refused to explain. The gossip machine didn't take long to explode. Within hours, hashtags about the dress and that night were trending worldwide. Fans began digging through old photos, red carpet looks, behind-the-scenes shots from their hit series. And then it happened, someone found an image from years ago, Demet Özdemir at a private after-party, wearing that unforgettable dress. A delicate, flowing gown in deep midnight blue, the exact shade that Can's eyes locked on during the gala. The internet went wild. "He was talking about her," screamed one fan account. Others argued, "It's just coincidence, don't read too much into it." But the timing, the way Can's expression changed, and his carefully chosen words, everything pointed to something deeper. Something he never said out loud until that accidental confession. Inside his hotel room that night, Ken was restless. He paced the floor, replaying the moment in his mind. He had promised himself never to let his emotions slip in public, especially not emotions tied to Demet. Their story was complicated, too complicated. But when he saw that dress, it wasn't just fabric, it was a key unlocking every hidden memory he thought he had buried. He remembered the way Demet looked at him across the table, candlelight reflecting in her eyes. The way her laughter softened his defenses, melting the walls he had built around himself. That night wasn't supposed to happen. They were colleagues, friends, but in that stolen evening, they became something more. He had never said it to anyone, but that was the night he realized he loved her. The confession about the dress wasn't just nostalgia, it was pain. Because love didn't survive. Fame, pressure, distance, and pride had destroyed what could have been. And yet, years later, a simple dress could make him feel as though time had frozen, as though Demet might walk into the room at any second, smiling the way she did that night. Back in Istanbul, Demet heard the news almost instantly. A close friend sent her the clip, Ken whispering those fateful words, "I saw the dress, and I remembered that night." For a moment, she dropped her phone. Her heart pounded. Did he really say that? After all this time, did he still think about it? She sat in silence, staring out the window, lost in her own flood of memories. Neither of them had ever spoken about that night publicly. It was their unspoken secret, one that both protected and haunted them. And now, with just one accidental confession, the world was talking about it. Demet tried to brush it off at first. It's just a coincidence, she whispered to herself. But the more she thought about it, the harder it became to ignore. That dress wasn't just any dress. It was the dress. The one she had chosen so carefully that night, not knowing it would later be burned into both of their memories. She remembered the way Can's eyes lingered on her as if she were the only person in the room. And now, years later, he had admitted that the memory still lived inside him. Her friends noticed the change immediately. Demet, are you okay? You've been quiet all day, one of them asked. She forced a smile, but inside she was trembling. Because hearing Can say those words out loud reopened every wound, every what if. What if they hadn't been so stubborn? What if they had chosen love over fear? What if that night had been the beginning instead of the end? Meanwhile, Can's confession became headline news in Italy and Turkey. Magazines plastered his face with dramatic titles: The Dress That Broke Him, Can Yaman Remembers a Forbidden Love, and The Mystery Woman Behind That Night. Some tabloids were even bolder, showing old paparazzi shots of him and Demet together, hinting that their on-screen chemistry had spilled into real life. But what the world didn't know was that behind those glossy photos was a story too raw, too fragile to tell. That night was more than a fling, more than a fleeting moment. It was the one time Can let his guard down, the one time Demet allowed herself to forget the rules. They were just two souls meeting in the middle of chaos, holding on to each other like lifelines. In a quiet interview days later, Can was asked again about the dress. This time, he didn't dodge the question. He sighed, ran a hand through his hair, and simply said, "Some nights change you forever. You don't forget them. You don't want to." The reporter tried to press for details, but he smiled sadly and ended the conversation. That smile, half broken, half nostalgic, was enough to set fans ablaze with speculation. For Demet, the hardest part wasn't that he remembered, it was that he had the courage to say it, while she still kept her silence. She opened her journal that night, the one she hadn't touched in months, and wrote only one line: "If he remembered the dress, then he must have remembered the way I looked at him, too." The story refused to die down. Every channel, every gossip site, every fan forum was consumed by one question: what really happened that night? And for the first time in years, both Can and Demet were forced to face the ghosts they had tried so hard to bury. Can stayed quiet in public, but behind closed doors, he admitted to his closest friend that seeing the dress had shaken him more than anything in recent memory. "I thought I had moved on," he confessed, his voice low. "But that dress, it reminded me of everything I lost." The friend, careful not to push too hard, simply said, "Maybe you didn't lose it. Maybe it's still waiting for you." Demet, on the other hand, felt torn between pride and longing. She didn't want to seem weak, didn't want the world to know how much that one night still lived inside her. But in the privacy of her home, she replayed every second of it. The laughter. The dance. The moment their hands brushed and neither of them pulled away. It was real. And now Can had confirmed it without saying her name. The fans' obsession reached a peak when an old staff member from that premiere night gave an anonymous interview. They confirmed that after the official dinner, Can and Demet had slipped away to a quieter corner, away from the cameras. They weren't acting. You could feel it. The way they looked at each other, it wasn't just two co-stars. It was something deeper. That revelation only poured more gasoline on the fire. In the final twist, Can was spotted days later leaving a boutique in Milan. Paparazzi zoomed in on the bag he carried. Inside was a dress, almost identical to the one that started the whole storm. The speculation exploded. Was he sending a message? Was it a symbol? Or was it a gift meant for someone? the mystery only deepened. And then, Demet herself posted a photo on Instagram. Nothing too obvious, just a simple shot of her balcony, a cup of tea on the table, and in the corner of the frame, that very same midnight blue dress, hanging on a chair. No caption. No explanation. Just the dress. The internet broke. Fans screamed that it was confirmation, proof that their story wasn't over. Others said it was just coincidence. But those who knew, they knew. The silence between them was louder than any statement. Can's confession had done more than stir gossip. It had reopened a door. A door both of them had kept shut for years. And now, whether they admitted it or not, the world was watching to see if they would step through it together. Because sometimes, it only takes a dress to remind two hearts of the night they never truly forgot.